Lira stood at the top of the gleaming tower, the golden conch shell in her hands, its glow warming her fingers and filling her heart with a sense of fulfillment. The song of the sea, which had guided her through the trials of the sea, now resonated within her, a melody so powerful and ancient that it felt like a living force. The voice of the sea spirits echoed in her mind. With great power comes great responsibility. Use the song wisely, and it will guide you. As Lira descended from the tower, the golden conch tucked safely in her satchel, she felt the weight of those words. This was no ordinary treasure. It was a gift, a connection to the sea itself, and she knew that the choices she made from this point forward would have far-reaching consequences, not just for her, but for all who lived by the sea. The dolphin that had carried her across the lake was waiting patiently at the shore. With a grateful smile, Lira mounted its sleek back, and they glided effortlessly over the water, returning to the golden shores of the island. As she stepped onto the sand, the sea spirits appeared once more, their towering forms shifting like waves in the mist. You have proven yourself worthy, Lira, said the lead spirit, its voice like the roar of distant waves. But your journey is not yet over. The Golden Isles are only the beginning. The Song of the Sea has chosen you as its guardian, and with it, you have the power to calm storms, guide lost sailors, and protect the waters of the world. But be warned, the sea is both friend and foe. You must use the song wisely, or risk upsetting the balance. Lira bowed her head, understanding the gravity of her new role. I will do my best to honor the sea and protect its people, she promised. With that, the spirits faded back into the mist, leaving Lira alone on the golden shore. The boat that had brought her to the Golden Isles was waiting at the water's edge, bobbing gently in the waves. As she climbed aboard and set sail for home, the song of the sea hummed softly in her ear, a constant reminder of the power she now carried. Weeks passed, and Lira returned to her village. At first, life seemed to return to normal. She helped her father with his fishing, listened to the villagers' stories, and spent her evenings by the shore. Had the golden conch always close by. But soon, whispers began to spread. The seas were changing, they said. The waters were growing restless, the tides unpredictable. Storms that should have come and gone stayed longer than they should, and fishermen were finding it harder to navigate the once familiar waters. One evening, as Lira sat by the shore, she felt a deep rumble beneath the waves. The sky was clear, but the sea seemed agitated, as though something far below the surface was stirring. She closed her eyes and held the golden conch to her ear, listening to the song. It was then that she heard it, another sound, faint but distinct, hidden within the melody of the song. It was a cry for help, not from a person, but from the sea itself. Something was wrong, and the ocean was calling to her for aid. Lira knew she had to act. Gathering her courage, she returned to her father's house and told him that she needed to set sail again, this time to investigate the strange disturbances in the sea. Her father, though worried, trusted her judgment. He had always known there was something special about his daughter, And now, with the conch in her possession, he understood that her destiny was tied to the ocean. Lira set out at dawn, sailing into the open sea with the song of the sea as her guide. For hours, she followed the melody, letting it lead her deeper into the vast waters than she had ever been before. The sea around her grew darker, the waves more turbulent, and a thick fog rolled in, obscuring the horizon. Just as Lira began to wonder if she was lost, the fog parted, revealing a massive whirlpool swirling violently in the center of the ocean. The water churned and twisted with terrifying force, and at the heart of the whirlpool, Lira could see the faint outline of a giant creature trapped within the swirling currents. The creature was a leviathan, an ancient guardian of the deep, and it was caught in a terrible storm that seemed to be tearing it apart. Its cries echoed through the water, a deep, mournful sound that reverberated through Lira's bones. Without hesitation, Lira took the golden conch from her satchel and held it to her lips. She closed her eyes and began to play the song of the sea, letting the melody flow through her, weaving its magic into the air and water. The sound of the conch cut through the roar of the whirlpool, and slowly the storm began to calm. The waves grew gentler, the whirlpool slowed, and the leviathan, freed from its torment, rose to the surface. It was an awe-inspiring sight, its massive body covered in scales that shimmered like polished stone, its eyes glowing with a soft, ancient light. The creature regarded Lira with something like gratitude, and for a moment they simply stared at one another, the connection between them deep and profound. Then, with a powerful sweep of its tail, the Leviathan dove back into the depths, leaving the water still and calm. As the last ripples faded, Lira felt a sense of peace wash over her. The sea was calm once more, and the song of the sea had fulfilled its purpose. But she knew this was only the beginning. The sea was vast and full of mysteries, and as its guardian, she would face many more challenges in the days to come. Months passed, and Lira's reputation as the guardian of the sea grew. Sailors from far and wide came to seek her guidance, and she became known as the keeper of the song, a protector of the ocean and all who sailed upon it. She used the conch sparingly, only when the sea called to her in times of need, and always with great care. One day, a group of fishermen from a distant island arrived in her village. They told her of a terrible drought that had struck their home, drying up their rivers and leaving their crops withered. The people were starving, and no amount of prayer or sacrifice had brought the rains. They had heard of Lira's power and had come to beg her for help. Lira listened to their plea and agreed to help. She set sail with the fishermen, following the song of the sea as it led her to their island. When they arrived, Lira saw the devastation for herself. Fields of dry, cracked earth, rivers reduced to mere trickles, and the people weak with hunger. That night, Lira stood on the shores of the island, holding the golden conch in her hands. She knew that the balance of the sea and the sky was delicate, and that calling for rain where there was none could have unforeseen consequences. But she also knew that the people were suffering, and that she had the power to help. With a deep breath, she raised the conch to her lips and played the song of the sea, this time with a new purpose. She poured her heart into the melody, asking the sea and the sky to work together to bring life-giving rain to the parched land. At first, there was silence. Then, slowly, dark clouds began to gather over the island. The wind picked up, and a soft rain began to fall. The villagers who had been watching from a distance cheered in relief and joy as the rain grew heavier, soaking the dry earth and filling the rivers once more. Lira smiled, feeling the weight of the conch in her hands. She had used the song wisely, and the balance of the world had been restored. Years passed, and Lira continued to serve as the guardian of the sea. She faced many challenges, from fierce storms to dangerous creatures, but always the song of the sea guided her. She had learned to use the power of the conch with care, understanding that it was not just a tool, but a responsibility. As she grew older, Lira knew that one day she would have to pass the conch on to someone else, someone who could continue to protect the sea and its people. But for now, she was content to sail the waters she loved, the song always in her heart, guiding her through the endless blue. And so, Lira's story continued, a tale of wisdom, courage, and the deep connection between the sea and those who listen to its song.